about that. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm going to turn this light off. That glare is fucking horrific. Let's fix that. Good evening, ladies and gents. Welcome on in. I'm your host, BullMuscle. We got a great show for y'all tonight. It's a little bit dark in here. Let's go ahead and fix that. Still getting used to the new setup, which you may notice looks slightly different. It's because we have shifted back to the tower computer at long last. So we're going to be taking the old laptop and shipping her off to a friend who needs it. So it's going to be a little good Christmas cheer for y'all. Anyway, so what do we got for y'all today? Got a great show. We're going to be talking about REE Automotive, all right? For those of y'all who are unfamiliar with REE Automotive, can I raise this? It does not appear as though I can. That is unfortunate. All right, well, in that case, we're going to tilt the camera down just a touch. There we go. Don't look like anybody's here live yet anyway, so ain't no big thing. All right, yeah, we got a couple people on. Wonderful. So we're going to talk a little bit about REE Automotive. I'm going to go ahead and get started while we're still waiting here. Let's go ahead and pull up a window showing automotive stock. Where is it? There we go. Okay. We'll just throw it on Market Watch. That should do. And then grab window capture. Should be right here, and yet it isn't, so we got to create it. Oh, right, because I didn't create it for this computer. Oh, add existing, Firefox. There we go. Should do it. Perfect. All right, so we're going to just narrow this on down. Oh, I don't really like the look of that, so we're going to go like that. There we go. We're going to go like that. And we're going to zoom on in on this because this is just much better. Okay. Sweet. So we've got REE Automotive Limited. Pull it down here. That should about do it. Let's see if we can get market cap on there, which I don't believe that is an updated number, but it will be good enough for our maths here. We got, there we go. Okay, so why is it not showing? There we go. All right, that'll work. All right, good enough. Why is there so much space dedicated to these fucking toolbars here? That's just so unnecessary. Anyway, I guess Market Watch is just ass. Okay, I should have chosen a different one. Whatever, we're going to talk about REE Automotive here. So I'm going to try and improve this to the extent that I can here, at least in the short term, by doing that. There we go. And then dragging you all right over here onto this side. So what do we got here? On this show, we've talked about finances before, personal finances, and I have gone to lengths to mention that you should really start by what I would call boglehead investing. Boglehead investing involves your index funds. Okay, so let's break this down. So we're start investing. Right, I'm a big fan of, first off, obvious biggest rule here is this is, you know what, we'll close this for now. We'll come back to the web browser if we need it. Oh, I know what I need to do. You know what? We're gonna put this. We'll bring it up here, and we're just gonna put it below the alert box. That's actually perfect. That's not bad at all. Okay. So actually, we're gonna. Yeah, it's even better. Sweet. Okay. That'll do just fine. Okay. Sorry about that. Something in my eye. So we're going to talk investing real quick. All right. With investing, first thing you want to do, rule one, You cannot invest if you do not save more than you earn. If you are saving less than you earn, you are insolvent. That's not good. You need to fix that dramatically by both cutting your spending and increasing your income. Okay? Now, once you get beyond that, your match accounts, okay? So this is going to be, you know, really you're going to think 401k. There are some other exceptions, but usually you're going to get company matches. So use your company matches, all right? Then beyond that, tax advantaged accounts. These are accounts for which there are benefits to your tax situation if you fund them. IRA and HSA are the big ones. All right? And beyond that, and all of this, these two really, for these two, just put it in basic generic index funds that mirror the S&P 500 and don't try playing with individual stocks in your 401k, IRA, or HSA. The whole point of these accounts anyway is that you want to let it sit and time in the market becomes bigger than timing the market. So for that, stick to this stuff, okay? Now, once you've filled up all those tax advantaged accounts, then you can play with a little bit more fun. All right, that's when you build your independent brokerage. And my rule of thumb for this is that 75% should be Boglehead. There we go. And 25% fun. Okay, now sometimes if your fund stocks do really well, it'll increase and then you sell some of them. Keep it around that 25%. Then sometimes, you know, your fund stocks may not do as well, then you can put a little bit more into them. But in general, this is my go-to rule. You want that 75-25 ratio for your independent brokerage. If you're not doing steps 1 through 3, this doesn't apply to you, okay? That's the caveat before we get into REE Automotive. So this is we're only concerned about right here, the fun money, okay? If you like picking stocks and playing the stock market, it is a lot of fun. I find it fun. It's honestly, in some ways, it really is just a better casino. It's a casino with better odds. Is it easy to beat the S&P 500 historically? No. In fact, something like 95% of all investors don't. So be aware that you're probably not going to make more money than if you just did Boglehead for everything. But that's a bit boring. So let's look at that. All right, let's look at what stocks you could go with. Well, depends on what I would recommend within your fun money account. Okay, so this is within the fun money we set out. Okay. Within your fund, okay, you should stick to, if you want to pick stocks, stick to industries you know. For instance, if you are, let's say, a lumber trader or you work in the lumber industry, you probably know a thing or two about the markets and the way they're going to work for lumber prices. So you might want to buy or sell stocks in that industry based on that. If you are in the mining industry, it'd be the same thing. If you are a defense worker and you kind of know, hey, my company's fucking up a lot, maybe take a look at maybe selling or short selling their company. If you are, you know, that's the general idea. So obviously avoid conflicts of interest. Okay, that one's, I shouldn't have to state that, but that is pretty obvious. But if you know a thing or two about the industry because you've worked in it, yeah, you're probably going to have better odds beating the averages there. Where does REE Automotive play into this? Well, I'm an engineer, and while I am not in the automotive industry, I did a fair amount of study into that in college. It's always been an interest of mine, and REE Automotive, I think, has what it takes to succeed. So let's get into what REE Automotive is. REE Automotive is an automotive small startup based in Tel Aviv that has factories in the United Kingdom, and they're building one in Texas, right next to the Tesla plant. Their product is called the P7C. Okay, the P7C is an electric cargo van. In essence, they also sell a stripper chassis, which I believe has been used as a test mule for Airbus and has also been used for, I think, RV setups. There's apparently at CES next year, there's an RV company that's trying to take a P7C and turn it into a camper van, which won't be cheap, but at the same time, are modern day RVs cheap? No. So, apart from a funny name, what makes REE Automotive special? The difference between REE Automotive and other, even startups in this space, is that REE Automotive has something called the REE Corner, and it is a module where they have taken all these suspension and powertrain components, and they've placed it in one corner, right around the wheel well, basically. The idea here is that if you do that, you then create a flat loading space which maximizes the amount of available cargo room you have in a vehicle. Now, that may not sound very exciting, but think about a company like Penske, or a company like UPS, or a company like Amazon. You know, Amazon, they've got their own deal with Rivian, but why do they do that? Well, it's because if you think about a Chevy Express, for instance, which has been chugging along since the Clinton administration. Great vehicle, very reliable, but it's got way less volume on the inside because you've got an internal combustion engine in the front, a transmission in the middle, a drivetrain going back to the rear wheels. All of a sudden, I mean, that's taking up a ton of room, a rear differential. With the REE Corner, you eliminate all of that because it's electric, but more importantly, because all the components are in the corners, you can get things like four-wheel steering, which REE Automotive has. They're also the only company, to the extent I'm aware of, that is both certified drive-by-wire, excuse me, certified drive-by-wire and certified steer-by-wire. In other words, so drive-by-wire and steer-by-wire, basically, when you press the gas pedal or you press the brakes or you turn the steering wheel, is there an actual mechanical connection connecting your steering wheel input to the wheels, or is it done electronically? And there's backups and redundancies, and NHTSA has certified and signed off on it that it's safe. But even Tesla hasn't cracked that, to the extent of my knowledge. So for REE to do it gives them a competitive advantage, okay? Now, you combine the fact that you've got a flat load floor, four-wheel steering, drive and steer by wire. What you get is a cargo van that steers like a small SUV, which means it's easier for people to drive in and around small towns and tight city roads in it, which makes it more appealing. It's going to make it more appealing to drivers. It's going to make it more appealing to customers. Carry on further with this, okay? So you've got all the suspension components and all the powertrain components in one removable corner module. What that means is instead of having downtime with, let's say, a conventional engine, you know, an Express is a reliable vehicle, but let's say, I don't know, you got to go and do a spark plug job. Every 100,000 miles or so, you're going to have to do that. And because it's a van, that big V8 engine, getting those last two spark plugs at the back, you're going to have to drop the motor. Or you're going to be spending a lot of time and your mechanic is going to be saying a lot of cuss words to get back there. Maybe you can get through via the doghouse. I don't even know if newer Expresses still have the doghouse, but you get the point. Whereas with the REE Corner module, right, so that's going to put the van in downtime. You can't use the van while it's being worked on. Let's say something goes wrong with one of the REE Corner modules. Well, what you can do is just remove it, plug in a new recorner module, and fix the module while it's off the car and the van's still going out and doing its thing. Because the recorner modules are basically the same, you can just plug and play them. This makes downtime way lower. That's something companies also really care about. Obviously, if you're into ESG or into climate change, it's an electric vehicle, therefore it is going to produce fewer emissions in the long run, not at production, but in the long run compared to an internal combustion engine V8, because that's what most vans are, V6, that's what most vans are, right? Let's not kid ourselves and say that conventional cargo vans at present are fuel-efficient vehicles. They're not. The Transit maybe gets 20 miles to the gallon. The Express might get 18 if you're really babying it. And the ProMaster is a Chrysler product, so it's going to fall apart before it really matters anyway. Actually, really, I say the ProMaster is a Chrysler. It's a Stellantis product. Underneath, it's a Fiat Ducato, which underneath that is, I believe, a Citroen Jumper. So it's like a reskin. It's a reskin of a reskin at this point. It's not a bad vehicle for the price point, but I'd rather have an archaic Express that I know it will work. And even if it doesn't work, parts will be extremely cheap. That's the other beautiful thing about the recorner. What they got two factories, you're going to have parts availability in Europe and parts availability in the United States very easily. I suspect once they start getting orders coming in, which they haven't gotten a lot of yet, my bet is that a company like Penske or UPS is going to strike a deal with them. Supply chain, let's talk about that. So, okay, you've still got all these components for the modules, components for the vans. Where are you getting them? They just struck a deal with Motherson Company as an Indian supply chain company to provide them with a lot of that supply chain and gave them initial funds to really ramp up production. So this is a company that's got a runway for production. It's already got successful test mules out there. It's making all the rounds at the shows. And I think we're going to start seeing sales deals. I believe they're going to break even next year. And their goal right now is $1 billion in cumulative sales between this year, which they've sold very little because they're just beginning ramp up, and 2026. I think that's very doable, right? So $1 billion, that sounds like a lot. Well, these are going to be $100,000 plus vehicles. Is that more expensive than a conventional transit van? Yes, but it's a more capable vehicle, one. Two, with tax credits, especially in some states like California, it becomes at parity with gasoline-powered cars. Three, a lot of those gasoline-powered cars have come up quite a lot in recent years. A mid-trim Ford Transit anymore is a $60,000 car. Once you put in tax breaks for the REE vehicle, it's pretty similar. Again, for a vehicle that gives you way less downtime, way more packaging space, and is much easier to maneuver in the city, there's a lot of upside there. I don't think they need to they don't need to eat Ford's lunch to be successful. So let's say, all right, you got $1 billion market share. Or $1 billion cumulative sales. How much would that be? Well, let's go ahead and assume an average purchase price of $100,000, right? And I think that's going to be a bit on the low side. Again, after taxes, that'll be pretty easy to pull off. But substitute your own number if you want. That's going to be $10,000. Their vehicle is the P7C. But this isn't including, any spare REE corners that they will sell with the design, which they will. Let's say you're a fleet, you're buying 10 of these things. Okay, great. Well, you're going to want some spare REE corners on hand in case in a few years, you'll want to start swapping them out and doing maintenance on the modules themselves, which, given that it's an electric motor, it's not going to have a ton of that. But, it's better to have that and be able to swap, plug and play than wait kind of just in time style for it to break down and then order it. So you're going to get more sales from that. But at 100K per sale, that's 10,000 sales. 10,000 sales is a fraction of a percent of the total cargo van market. That can easily be done. Okay? And that's 2025 and 2026 that they would need to do that. So it's 5,000 per year. 5,000 per year. Oh yeah, that's peanuts. I mean, shit. The Tesla Model S, a luxury car that has not been updated in several years at this point, sells multiple times more than that. And again, with the tax incentives, I think this is a very, very easy to achieve. Now, I think this will produce, right, this, and if a company is able to get this kind of sales coming up, you're going to see the market cap follow. So if we say this is going to be $1 billion market cap company, and no, sales does not equal market cap, but I think that's about where the market will place it for a growing startup. Let's talk about market cap. Okay, so this is where we need our, oh, didn't mean to do that, my bad. There we go. This is where we need our little buddy up here. So our little buddy up here saying we're at $11 a share. Now the market cap here is saying 125 million. I don't believe that's right. So I'm actually going to check here. This is saying 198 and Yahoo Finance is saying 206. Okay. So let's go with 200 mil. We'll be on the conservative side here. So all right. We'll go back to the market watch because we set it up for that. But all right. Let's go back to this. So we'll say a $200 million market cap. Well, if we think this is going to be $1 billion market cap, and it's 200, if it's 200 mil at $11 a share, then it will be 1 billion at $55 a share. That is a 5-bagger. Okay, so if you were to buy in now, 11 to 55 in 2 years, is that optimistic? Is it bullish? Yes. Did I not just say I was bullish on this company? I don't think there is another manufacturer out there that offers this kind of value. So I'm really, really bullish on these guys. I have owned REE stock for several years, and to be honest, I will go back and show y'all just how rough the road has been, all right? We go all the way back to late 2021. You see this stock was worth $100, $150 a share. This was back before the SPAC bubble popped. This was a SPAC stock. It was overvalued when it came out, but it was valued at $1 billion back then. Of course, again, SPAC bubble popped. I'm not saying it's ever going to get back to those heights. I don't think that's necessarily the case. But to get back to being about $1 billion in market cap, once the sales start coming in, that's about where it was in the middle of May at, or early May at $54 a share. Very doable. Just this year alone, right, it was floating around $5 a share. We got the deal with Motherson right here at, it was floating actually around 3. Mid-September, the deal with Motherson comes announced. It comes up to 7 almost immediately. Floats around the 7s. The last couple of days, it's ticking up past 10. We're seeing that tick up based on almost nothing, okay? What that tells me is we are going to see this thing go crazy when we get some actual news. There's been no recent news that would cause a 19% upward day. In fact, looking at today, the volume was barely over the average. So it wasn't even high volume that's been causing this. But over the last, 5 days, this is the 65-day average. So that includes the day, and there was monster volume on the Motherson day. This volume is pretty mediocre. It's not that, 350,000 shares at $11 a share. That means only $3.5 million is trading on this company. You get a few thousand people, and this is the X factor, okay? I'm not stupid. This company, okay, has a ticker name of REE. Let's not be obtuse, and let's acknowledge the fact that Wall Street Bets does still exist. Now, it may not be quite as rowdy as perhaps it was during the height of the GameStop craze, but it would not surprise me if Wall Street Bets were to take one good look at this stock and just judge based on the ticker. You see a couple memes, and there's no telling what they might do to this thing. Do I think that's likely? No. But is it possible? Yeah. Absolutely, that's quite plausible. Now, for it to get to the Wall Street bets point, requires a $500 market cap, which means this would need to hit about $26 a share. Now, $26 a share from 11 is a big, big jump. Some major news would have to come out for that to happen. Do I think that's possible? Entirely. So where I'm going with this is, I've been riding this stock for years. I wrote it down from, through most of 2022. I wrote it all the way down into the single digits, and I'm going to ride it all the way back up. I personally think I'll see this stock at about $55, $60 in 2026 money. And by the way, I'm not a professional. Okay, so this is not professional financial advice. Do your own diligence. But I'll put my money where my mouth is. I have several thousand shares of this, and I think this will be, if I'm correct, I make several $100,000 at the minimum. So we'll see. I could be wrong. But a couple other prominent investors. Koch Industries has invested in these guys in the past. Hino, a subsidiary of Toyota, has invested in these guys in the past. They've done a test dummy for like a mule for Airbus. So you may see some connections there. There is a lot going on here. I mean, with REE Automotive, right? Think about Airbus, right? Airbus is a plane manufacturer. Well, they've got the big manufacturing facilities and hubs in the planes. Well, you've got those little tugs for airports. That could be, there's no reason you couldn't use a REE vehicle for that over time. And they, again, if they make a stripper chassis, they're going to be able to sell that for cheaper. When you get all the tax deals from the environmental side of it, and yeah, you say, well, Trump's going to get rid of those. He might at the federal level. That's not going to stop California or other left-wing states from continuing to offer them, as they should. I'm a huge fan of the electric transition. Gasoline vehicles cause immense amount of damage to the planet. Setting aside global warming for a second, look, gasoline is carcinogenic. Benzene, brake dust, tire dust, those are all really bad for the human body. Brake dust and tire dust in particular. Now, EVs still generate tire dust, but they generate substantially less brake dust. But brake dust, for instance, when generated from friction braking due to internal combustion vehicles not having regen braking the same way that an electric does, that brake dust falls onto the asphalt, right? And then it seeps into the water supply. And then all those microplastics go into the water supply. And where do you think those end up? They end up in the fish, and then they end up in us. So I'm generally pro EV. I don't think EVs are going to solve climate change. I don't even think Elon Musk thinks that. I think if you have half a brain, obviously, that's not going to happen. But there we go. I'm generally of the belief that it is a overall net good to switch to EVs most of the time. There are some places in the United States where it does not make sense at present to own an electric vehicle. For instance, if you live in Fairbanks, Alaska, it's really cold. And even with present EV technology, batteries just don't stand that cold kind of temperature well. However, Fairbanks, Alaska is not most of the United States. For instance, here on Oahu, there should be no reason anyone is buying a gasoline-powered vehicle at this point. There isn't, okay? Now, unless you're buying one used. If you're buying one used for cheap, that makes sense. But if you're buying a new vehicle, even here with the nation's highest electric prices, we also have the nation's highest fuel prices because Hawaii. That's all I'm going to say about that. But you can't drive anywhere on this island. I think if you do an entire circumference of the island, you would end up driving a little over 100 miles. So you can't sit here and tell me range anxiety is a serious issue. And besides, nobody I have met commutes from, Kahuku all the way to Honolulu. Nobody does that commute. So nobody's really driving that long. Now, will it be difficult to charge your electric vehicle in some places? Okay, maybe. However, the number of free charging stations and paid for charging stations continues to grow here. I personally, I'd go for that. If I was looking for something of that magnitude here, even at my current apartment complex, if I really wanted to take an electric vehicle here, I know of places where I could plug in a 110 volt outlet and leave it charge overnight, and it would give me enough power to go about a week. Now, I don't do that. Why? Because I ride a bicycle to work. I don't bother with cars at all because Oahu is incredibly overcrowded. Now, if you live on the Big Island, Hawaii Island, totally understand why you would buy a gas-powered vehicle. That makes sense. It's rugged. You need something that's very dependable, and you're not going to have electricity access in much more remote parts of the island. You need to go off-road, and you can't run out of power up there. That makes sense. But I would say, in general, electric vehicles, especially as of the year 2025, are now good enough to where I don't care about your politics. Put the politics aside. From an efficiency standpoint, electrics are simply substantially better than gas vehicles. And it hurts because I'm a huge fan of, old classics. But it's just hard to argue otherwise at this point. Let's see, what is going on here? Why are we... stream overlays ain't working. That's fine. I'm going to try and fix that real quick. Edit. See how I can get that done. Anywho. There we go. All right. I don't know why the scroll bar at the top is frozen. You got me as to why that is. So that was really it. It looks like we did not get many viewers for this one. That's all right. It's late here. I did this for my own benefit. For what it's worth. Okay, here's my record on stock picking. I've not quite beaten the S&P, but I've come pretty close. I've done better than most. I've made some good picks over the years. I've made some bad ones, but I'm very, very confident on REE Automotive. That's really about all I had. Let's talk about a few other items in the room. You may have noticed, right down here, this guy. That's not a joke. By Christmas, 2,000 subs, we'll get a beach stream. 2,500 subs, we will get a Speedo stream. In fact, actually, that reminds me, I'm going to actually just... We're going to edit this. Totally forgot to do this on the broadcast. Very unprofessional, but whatever. Nobody's watching anyway. Christmas 2024. Save. There we go. Oh, why did it do that? Oh, I turned it off. There we go. Save. Nice, much better. So yeah, by Christmas, if we can get it in the next 2 weeks, I'm putting the ball in the court of my audience. There are a lot of people who claim they really want to see that. Okay, there you go. Make it happen. Costs you nothing. You just have to spread the word on my behalf. I do it to the extent that I can. But I can't do it all myself. So, audience, if you want to see that, there you go. Those are the goals. Are they ambitious? Yeah, but is 1,200 easy to get? Hell, my Twitch audience alone, if we could just get all the people who follow me on Twitch over here, we'd already be at 2,100. Probably closer to 2,200. I've tried reaching out, so we'll see. Anyway, do not have any... Oh, actually, I do have a couple consultations on the back burner. We'll probably do those tomorrow. I need to eat food, and I was going to go do some bushwhacking tonight, so I'm probably going to go do that. Yeah, that's really about it. I will see y'all later. Until then, make good decisions. Those good decisions form your actions. Those actions form your habits. Those habits form your values. Those values form your ethos to be the guide star through the rough waters of life. And this is y'all's decision, but I'm quite bullish on REE Automotive stock. I'd suggest y'all consider buying in, or maybe we'll look back in a few years and you'll wish you had. Come in for the hug. Shoots. See y'all later.